Go ahead and arm your drones.
Drone swarm testing at White Sands Missile Range in preparation for NIE 16.1. Includes interview clips from James Story, Target's Management Office, and Michael Francis from the Multi-Rotor Target Program.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
3, 4, 5. Go to center deck. David, go ahead and arm your drones. Arm it. I'm going to go first, remember? Call it, David. I'll go fast. Ready? I'm not arming. You want to throw it up? All right, press 1. Ready? 3, 4, 5. 115 altitude.
Intermittent. I'm moving it around and try to get it in. It's a swarm. We're simulating a swarm. Later as we go, as we move through this, it'll be 10 birds, 15 birds, 20 birds, and so on. Well, right now, there's hardly anybody that's doing swarms. Most people are flying one, maybe two, so, but as a threat, anytime you can get one or two at the same time and control them by waypoint with one laptop, that's pretty important. So then you were actually commanding all 5 of them at the same time. And all 5 of them are a threat. Well, or to attack a target, or to vent, or you can also use it as a defense of a target. You could have a swarm of these in the air guarding a point that you don't want them to get to. Payloads make the difference. So when you add video, you add the camera, you add a heavier battery for more flight time, that all decreases the amount of flight time you can actually fly. So let's take the smaller bird here. With a full payload on it, it goes from about 16 minutes of flight time to about 7. So it does reduce it. We're looking at ways, and that's part of the reason we're here this week, look at different ways to increase that flight time. So ATEC is our customer, Army Test and Evaluation Command. They've tasked us to come out and look at swarming, see what we can do with it, the different variations, what different payloads we can put on them. So we support ATEC on a lot of other ground, air, and seaborne missions. We were actually just briefing on some other stuff, and we saw this as a threat that was not being addressed, and they agreed, so we're just looking at it to see what we can do. Well, getting ahead of the enemy. Not necessarily get ahead of ourselves, but get ahead of the enemy so that we can counter, if they were to do this, and I'm sure they're thinking about it, that we can counter it.
For NIE, we're going to be supporting the OPT-4 on the 135 AD. We're going to be flying, providing them with swarm type assets. We're going to be giving them radar saturation as well as eyes on the ground through video downlink. We're hoping to give them all sorts of problems, but in the end it's supposed to make for a much more prepared Blue Force, so that when they deploy to theater, that they will be used to seeing some of these different Red 4 assets that are used overseas. As we're demonstrating today, flying them in swarms, so even if you defeat 1 or 2, then if one slips past the guard, then that could pose a problem. They're also using them for surveillance, so they're getting eyes on our soldiers as well, and finding out how we're deployed in their strategy so that they can find it easier to attack them. It's very easy. These are commercial off the shelf, so you can go to Amazon, you can go to Walmart, you can just go to the internet and just plug it in and purchase it. Very complex, a lot of paperwork, but I understand it's for safety and for frequency issues. But it was a lot of paperwork, but it's definitely worth it. This is our first time integrating into NIE, so it's been a process, and we've just a great group of guys out at Bliss and Wismer to work with to help us along the way.